Imagine a time in America post-World War II, when the country was experiencing a housing crisis. A crisis that sprouted from the seeds of a booming population and a scarcity of affordable housing. This was the backdrop that initiated the birth of project housing. After the dusts of war had settled, America found herself in the throes of a housing predicament. The baby boom was in full swing, and families were growing at an unprecedented rate. However, the housing market wasn't keeping pace. Homes were becoming increasingly unaffordable, and the nation was teetering on the edge of a housing catastrophe. Enter Franklin D. Roosevelt and his New Deal. A series of programs, public work projects, and financial reforms aimed at relieving the pressing issues of the Great Depression. One of the many initiatives under the New Deal was the United States Housing Act of 1937. This legislation sought to provide decent and safe rental housing for eligible low-income families, the elderly, and persons with disabilities. And thus, project housing was born. The first of its kind was the Harlem River Houses in New York City, established in the same year. A beacon of hope, these houses were meant to provide affordable housing for those struggling to keep a roof over their heads. They were greeted with optimism by many, seen as the panacea to the housing crisis that had been plaguing the nation. However, as is often the case, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. What was initially a well-intended solution soon started to show its cracks. The project housing, originally designed to be a temporary solution, became a long-term residence for many low-income families. Over time, these areas became isolated and impoverished, leading to a myriad of social and economic problems. So, the stage was set for project housing, a solution that was meant to provide affordable housing but instead led to a myriad of unforeseen consequences. A tale that began with hope and optimism, but quickly descended into a narrative of struggle and hardship. But that is a story for another scene. But who were the majority of the residents in these project houses? The answer is the Black community. As we delve deeper, we find that the Black community primarily resided in project housing due to a tangled web of socioeconomic factors, racial discrimination, and segregation practices. After World War II, a surge of Black families moved from the South to the North in search of better opportunities. However, they were met with the harsh reality of housing discrimination and limited economic resources. The only affordable housing available was in these project houses. This led to a high concentration of Black families in these areas, creating what we now know as the urban ghetto. Living in project housing wasn't all gloom and doom. There were benefits. It provided affordable housing for families that would have otherwise been homeless. It also created close-knit communities where neighbors knew each other, shared resources, and looked out for one another. This sense of community was, and still is, a vital aspect of Black culture. However, the disadvantages were stark. Project housing was often underfunded and poorly maintained, leading to substandard living conditions. The concentration of poverty led to a lack of opportunities and resources, perpetuating a cycle of poverty that was difficult to break. This cycle was further exacerbated by systemic discrimination. Many Black families were trapped in project housing due to redlining, a discriminatory practice where banks refused to give loans to residents of certain areas, usually those inhabited by people of color. This meant that despite their best efforts, many Black families were unable to move out and improve their living conditions. And then there was the impact on the Black community as a whole. The concentrated poverty, coupled with systemic discrimination, led to a host of social issues, from crime to educational disparities, which still persist today. Project housing, for better or worse, shaped the Black community in ways that we are still grappling with today. As we move forward, it's essential to recognize and address these historical injustices to ensure a better future for all. Along with the benefits and advantages, project housing brought along a darker side: crime. As these areas developed, so too did the correlation between project housing and crime rates. This didn't occur in isolation but was a product of various factors interplaying in these communities. The high concentration of poverty in project housing created a ground ripe for criminal activities. Limited resources, coupled with high unemployment rates, often drove residents towards illicit activities as a means of survival. This was not a choice made lightly, but rather a desperate bid to make ends meet in an environment that offered few legitimate opportunities. But poverty alone does not explain the high crime rates. Systemic failures also played a significant role. The lack of quality education and limited access to job opportunities created a cycle of poverty that was difficult to break. Moreover, the isolation of project housing from the wider community enforced a sense of otherness, furthering the divide between the haves and the have-nots. The societal view of these communities, often portrayed through a negative lens, perpetuated stereotypes and further marginalized these residents. Inadequate policing in these areas was another contributing factor. Law enforcement, often under-resourced and overstretched, was unable to effectively combat crime in these neighborhoods. This lack of effective policing, combined with a deep-seated mistrust between law enforcement and the community, created a breeding ground for crime. The impact of these factors was profound. Crime became a common part of life in project housing, casting a long and dark shadow over these communities. This not only affected the residents directly involved in criminal activities, but also the innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. The mental and physical toll on these individuals and their families was immense. The crime-ridden reputation of project housing continues to shadow these communities, making it difficult for residents to break free from the cycle. While project housing began as a beacon of hope for many, the reality for some has been a life marked by crime, hardship, and a struggle to rise above their circumstances. Fast forward to today, what does project housing look like now? Project housing, once a symbol of hope for low-income families, has undergone a significant transformation. Over the decades, it has been reshaped by shifting economic, political, and social landscapes. Government policies have sought to address issues of poverty and inequality, while grassroots initiatives have worked to empower residents and improve living conditions. However, the journey hasn't been smooth. The once lofty ideal of providing affordable accommodation has been marred by issues ranging from neglect and disrepair to the stigma associated with living in such communities. Despite these challenges, there are rays of hope. The resilience and determination of the residents have led to inspiring stories of success and upward mobility. In the face of adversity, many have risen above their circumstances. A good percentage of those who grew up in project housing have successfully broken free from the constraints of their environment. These individuals, through dedication and hard work, have found a way out and have gone on to make significant contributions to society. They serve as a beacon of hope, illuminating a path for others to follow. Yet, it's important to note that the narrative of success isn't universal. Many still grapple with the challenges that project housing presents. The struggle for a better life continues, and the quest for improvement remains an ongoing journey. But what does the future hold for project housing? There's no definitive answer. What's certain, though, is that change is afoot. Efforts to improve living conditions and opportunities for residents are gaining momentum. Policies are being reevaluated and new strategies are being developed to address the complex issues associated with project housing. Project housing, a vestige of America's past, continues to evolve, representing both struggle and resilience. Its legacy is a testament to the enduring spirit of the communities that call it home. In the tapestry of project housing, one thread stands out distinctly: the prevalence of single-mother households. The statistics tell a striking story. A significant percentage of families in project housing are led by single mothers. These women, often young and with limited education, find themselves navigating the complexities of project housing while shouldering the responsibility of raising their children. The challenges they face are manifold, from financial struggles to the lack of quality childcare and education, from the threat of crime to the stigma of living in project housing. These mothers bear the brunt of numerous hardships. Yet amidst these trials, a narrative of resilience and resourcefulness unfolds. Single mothers in project housing have shown an incredible ability to make ends meet, to provide for their children, and to create a sense of stability in an often unstable environment. They've mastered the art of stretching a dollar, juggling multiple jobs, and advocating for their children's education. Their strength is evident in their determination to break the cycle of poverty for their children. They are the unsung heroes of project housing, their stories a testament to human resilience and the power of a mother's love. As we look towards the future of project housing, it's important to remember these women. Their struggles and triumphs remind us that project housing is more than just buildings. It's home to a community of people, each with their own stories of resilience and hope. And it's these stories that will continue to shape the future of project housing.